Welcome to the family with
Andy Brant Bernard.
Officer Dave's not coming. Where is he again this week?
I think he is hunting.
Oh, that's right. He went
I
hunting.
think he's shooting birdies.
That's right. And Josh Arnold is going to be
On his way.
He's on his way, but he is not hunting.
No.
Nice Jewish boy hunting. Can't see it.
No.
There have to be some, though. There got to be some Jews that hunt. I've never
Jewish
known
hunters?
one. Never known one.
I don't know. Is it kosher to hunt?
I don't
If you're
know.
not slaughtering it in the kosher method?
See? A challenger backed by former President Donald Trump was narrowly leading incumbent Republican Bob Good, Republican from Virginia, in one of the year's most expensive and divisive GOP primaries, but the race remained too close to call on Wednesday. State Senator John McGuire declared victory Tuesday night, was only 327 votes ahead of Good, with 98% of the votes counted. According to the Associated Press, the AP hadn't yet announced a winner in the hard-fought race in Virginia's 5th congressional district near Richmond, Virginia. Final results might not arrive until Thursday because of the Juneteenth holiday. Juneteenth?
How old is this story?
Honest to God, this is in the Wall Street Journal this morning.
Well, I think they might have accidentally republished something from 100 years ago.
You're right. It's like, what?
It is not June.
It says updated June 19th. Why is this even in the Wall Street Journal? Was the polling today?
They were.
That's really
would that
weird.
be 5 months behind? 4 months?
A few anyway.
Let's see.
This article, it doesn't have a date on the article. Published the publication date. They just have the article date. That's got to be ancient. Although
his name is Bob Good.
Bob Good, Robert Good.
Yeah, no, this story is from June.
Why the hell is it in the Star Tribune?
Star Tribune.
No, not Star Tribune, the Wall Street Journal. WallStreetJournal.com, politics, elections, Trump payback, Bob Good,
Virginia Republican. Yep, this is from June.
Unbelievable that
Whoops.
popped up. What? Oh, I mean, whoops over at
yeah.
There's a lot of whoopsing going on over at the newspapers right now. There's no question about that.
Well, I wonder if he won.
Yeah,
let's see.
Let's find out who did win. We don't know.
Who was he? What was he running for?
State senator, I believe.
Nope. Looks like he did not win.
Who didn't win?
Bob Good didn't win.
Oh, he didn't. So McGuire, the guy that Trump picked, did win. Even though he's a Democrat, I think Trump endorsed him.
Trump endorsed McGuire?
That's what I thought. What does it say?
Too many names.
There's a lot of names involved.
No, McGuire is the Republican. Bob Good is the Democrat.
Because in this article...
no. They're both Republican.
Oh, they're both Republican.
Okay, that's what it is. They're both Republican, but Trump endorsed the other guy.
So John McGuire, State Senator John McGuire declared victory.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's your Virginia news.
That is so weird that from 2 months ago, we'll check and see who won. Because they're saying now, and the reason I even read that in the first place is because all of these Senate races, all of the, obviously the presidential race is tighter than hell. All of the races across this country are really, really tight. They're talking about maybe, I don't know who to believe or whatever to believe. And because you see, Andy, again, I watched the news and it's, Trump's way ahead. He can't lose. Then you turn to the other channel. Oh, Kamala Harris is way ahead. She can't possibly lose. Why can't we just tell the truth? What happened to telling the truth?
Every other country in the world can count their votes in one night on paper with their hands.
That's very true.
We have all the technology in the world, and apparently it takes us an additional week. Makes you think.
Yeah, why? So they can jerry rig it, as they used to call it.
They're doing something.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those situations where these politicians are becoming such egomaniacs. Does it really matter who gets in? Because they're all in it for money for themselves anyway.
Yeah. That's why I don't think I'm even going to vote for president.
So you don't even think you're going to do it?
Local elections matter. I mean, depending on where you live,
yeah.
Federal elections might, but not in this case. Not in Minnesota.
Here's a guy probably already voted for Bob Good about 10 times now. We're just talking about, Josh, I can't wait till you sit down because this is an interesting thing that just happened. I'm scrolling through all the stories to check it out. I go to the Wall Street Journal. today's version of the Wall Street Journal. Let me see what the date is on top of this page.
Okay.
See, it doesn't have the date on top of this page. Why do they do that? You would think that they would want to make sure they have the proper date for the proper stories and all the rest of it. But it's just a situation right now where how is it legal? I suppose, I don't know. I don't even know how to put this. I was just talking about on one channel, Trump is killing her. He's going to win. There's no question about it. He's got no chance of losing. Then you turn to another channel. She's got such a big lead. She can't possibly lose. I mean,
all you have to do is say anonymous sources say.
Anonymous sources
you can print whatever you want.
But they can't both win.
Maybe they can.
Or can they tie at 270? Was it 269? Is that what
they can tie, and then it goes. I read
it goes to the House.
Yeah, and then the House votes, but they can tie, and then it goes to something else. It's like the whole like royal succession line. There's a big chain of things, and eventually it becomes so improbable that we don't even have to worry about it. The odds of like multiple, like the election ties and the House ties and the third thing ties, it's just not likely.
No, it's not likely to happen.
I don't think we've ever had a presidential tie, and it's been what, 200 something years. So
yeah, I don't think we ever have.
No.
Well, actually, in 2 years it's going to be 250, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
But you want to know how one channel can have one piece of news.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
one channel says.
I would love to know how that's possible.
Okay, CNN says Trump is winning in their polls 50-48.
Right.
And MSNBC says, nope, Trump is not winning. Harris is winning 50-48. Well, I kind of liken that. And now I'll use a stock analogy since I'm an investment guy and a
yes.
stock guy. My clients count on me for that.
I know I do.
But Apple, as an example.
Yes.
Okay, Apple's earnings going to come out Halloween Day. Since Apple's introduction of the iPhone 16, there have been numerous reports, I'm not going to say every other day, on Apple's pre-orders, how they are going, how pre-orders are going in China. Well, based on this information from this analyst, nope, China pre-orders for the iPhone 16 are down 20% from where they were. Just stick with me. That's
okay.
From where they were at this point a year ago. The very next day, different analyst report, and the stock will go down. The next day, China pre-orders for the iPhone 16 are up 10% from this day a year ago. Well, wait a minute. We don't know what numbers you're talking about.
Right.
So this is going back and forth almost on a daily basis. Now we're getting closer to the earnings. The iPhone 16 will have negligible impact on Apple's quarterly report, which is the quarter July 1st to September 30th. That'll be reported a month late. And now, what is the guidance going to be, or sales going into this current quarter where the iPhone 16 is actually selling? Well, last week, one firm which has a hold sell rating on Apple, Apple's iPhone sales are trending below where they were a year ago. Nobody is really interested in upgrading at this point. Monday or Tuesday this week, IDC, independent group, iPhone sales from quarter, the reporting quarter versus last reporting quarter are up 3.5%. Stock jumps up. Hits on Tuesday on that news, a new high, $237 a share. The very next day, or actually during that day, all stocks sold off because of a Dutch chip maker didn't do as well as expected, plus said China sales were down. The very next day, an Apple stock finished down off that high. The very next day, the same firm that a week ago had said Apple sales are bad now comes out, well, wait a minute, this group said Apple sales are good.
Right.
Now he comes out, can't buy Apple because Google or Apple may lose Google's search, I'll say search revenue with the DOJ's potential breakup of Google, and that will cost so much. Sell Apple. Apple stock goes down. Today, report comes out from another independent source. China sales of Apple product are up 20%. Apple stock is up at $235 a share. Can I tell which one is right? One is surveys, the other is on actual independent data. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just bringing it around to the election. None of these people know at all, and it all depends on how they bring up the questions in their survey. Here's another report that I saw. Daniel Loeb, very good hedge fund manager. He said, all indications are that Trump is leading and that Trump will be the next president.
Right.
So I don't know, other than on November 6th, if in fact there is, we'll say, a final tally.
Right. Yeah, if you're right about that.
50% of the population that had voted for one candidate is going to be disappointed, and 50% or 51% will be joyous. But I couldn't tell you today which candidate is going to win. I could say that the market right now is focusing more, it seems, on what the Federal Reserve is going to be doing with interest rates and how they're interpreting inflation data on one hand, and the other hand, how corporations are reporting their earnings from the last quarter and where they're guiding for this quarter. And typically, prior to an election, and particularly a presidential election, the market is all over the place until the election takes place. And then there's some, okay, it's this person. Now we have to figure out which companies will benefit and which may not benefit from the next president. The only time that this did not happen was several days after the 2000 election, which I've brought up before,
Right.
when Al Gore said, I don't like the results in 3 counties in Florida,
Right.
The county that you spend a lot of time in, Palm Beach County, the county where my mother lives, Broward County, and the county where my granddaughter lives, Dade County.
Got it all covered.
So we have it covered, and only 3 counties. You only want a recount, and I was just incredulous. You only want a recount in 3 counties in Florida.
Yep.
Why not, all the other counties? Why not Hillsborough, where I think Tampa is? Why not Orlando? Why just those 3 counties? Well, those 3 counties typically had a lot of retirees from the northeast part of the country. Typically, they had voted Democratic. And if those counties had tilted to the Democrat, Gore would have won the electoral votes in Florida, and that would have tipped the election to him.
Yeah.
But he also had a claim, I got more popular votes than George Bush did, yet I lost based on the Electoral College. Ipso facto, we should get rid of the electoral. That's when they started with, we want to get rid of the Electoral College. And in this go round, the current governor of Minnesota is on the hustings. We've got to get rid of the Electoral College. If we're in office, we're going to push to get rid of the Electoral College. And somebody says to me that the other side is a threat to democracy.
That's what we hear.
So going back to surveys show, depends on the questions asked and who's doing the survey.
And it's interesting you put it that way, because there were some stats on crime in the United States. They were released by.
Are you talking about the 2022 the
FBI report?
The revision? Yep.
Yeah, the FBI was off by what, 8%?
Yeah, they said, well, the original stats said that I think there was like a 4% drop in crime, but there was actually a 4% increase in crime or something like that.
Yep. And the FBI said, oh, we got it wrong.
Yeah, they revised the stats 2 years later without telling anyone.
2 years later.
All the news sites have already told everyone, oh, everyone who thinks there's increased crime is crazy. They're all just conspiracy theorists. But now it turns out they're all right, but no one's going to hear it. The news isn't going to report on it. They're not going to say, sorry, we called you conspiracy theorists. Turns out you're right. Of course they aren't.
Well, if I just can't believe my lying highs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Why can't we? Have we always been such? My side always has to win. I mean, is that just a human being thing from way back in time? I have to win no matter what it takes to win.
Depends on which individual or group of individuals you're talking about.
That is true.
I mean, I saw something today. This may or may not relate to this, but I did see a headline. Well, the headline yesterday was that Israel killed the military leader of Hamas.
Yeah, some guy.
Yahya
Sisterhood.
Sinwar, and they showed pictures actually of where they got the guy, and it was just pure unadulterated happenstance.
So I was going to ask you that. They've gotten all three of the leaders now. They killed all three of them. How the hell did they do that?
Well, the last one we'll say it was happenstance. The others were some type of intelligence.
Okay.
Nonetheless, you now have President Biden saying to Netanyahu and the Israelis, "You've got all these guys.
Yep. Time to back off.
Time to back off and cease. And ceasefire." So, what does a letter from Hamas coming out today say?
Oh, God.
We are not interested in any ceasefire. You may have killed our leaders, but it is victory for us or martyrdom.
Victory or martyrdom.
Martyrdom.
So they're going to wipe out the entire thing.
So, okay. So now that just tells you what Israel has been saying all along. They got to go.
Otherwise, it'll never
Otherwise,
end.
this is going, a ceasefire.
Yep.
The ceasefire is useless because this group says it's victory for us or martyrdom. And when you start talking about martyrdom, now you go into something completely different.
Yep.
And now you go, and there's a very interesting piece that I listened to on a podcast called Honestly through Barry Weiss, and it talks about the 100-year war.
Oh, yeah.
And part of what drives, we'll say, Hezbollah, Hamas, and other groups dates back over 100 years.
Yeah.
And it is the belief that the Jews will destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and or build the third temple on the Temple Mount.
Hmm.
And that's a no for them. And that's so this period. So this is part of an ongoing, we'll say, holy war against Jews, and calling for the destruction of Israel.
And the reason for that is nobody's ever gotten along, and they don't even want to talk about getting along, from what I
No,
understand.
it's I'm sure that there are a lot of people that get along, but when you talk about
Yes,
the
right.
leaders of these religious groups, and they're able to rile the population, there has been no peace. And every time that there has been a ceasefire, Israel said, okay, we want to live in peace, ceasefire. Within a year or 2 years, they're back at war.
I mean, now we've got the people going at it in the Ukraine and Russia. We got the wars going on in the Middle East. Nobody in the United States is happy. Nobody in Western Europe is happy. I don't know about Eastern Europe. Is anybody in the world happy right now?
I'm very happy.
You are. You're the one guy.
There you go.
I am happy.
Good, because I am too. I love my family. See, I don't base my beliefs on anything but my family. Whatever's best for my family, those are my religious and political beliefs. That's right. And not if it mixes in with your religion and your political, that's great. If it doesn't, it's my family. I don't give a rat's ass what you think, right?
Correct.
So why aren't people just kind of locked into that deal?
Because a lot of people don't have anything in their lives.
Well,
They don't have families, they don't have spouses, they don't have anything but people telling them who to be afraid of.
Is that because
just look at how just look at how parents treat some of their children.
Oh, I know.
And look at how people, and I'll say, I know the Humane Society wants to raise money, so they show some horrible pictures of mistreated dogs.
Those are tough, man. I can't look at them.
And
They're tough.
okay, I'll say, as a dog owner, or as somebody who lives with a significant other who loves dogs, and we have two big dogs that have been rescued, and she is very active in the Adopt a Husky program, and you see how people treat these dogs. And you could even see it just walking around in a lot of neighborhoods, how people treat their animals.
Yep.
So what do you I'm not going to say what do you expect if you're treating your animals like that.
Right.
How are you treating other people?
Well, I'll give you an example right there. So Jude yesterday had a big medical appointment to get all checked out because he's, going to be 12 years old next, or 2 months from now. Going up on 12 years old. They're doing some things, so he's all worn out and all the rest of it. I'm sleeping like a rock in the new house. We finally settled in after moving for 3 months.
Okay, so now you're in a new apartment that's bigger, better, and now has a view of the lake.
No, it doesn't have a view of the lake.
You don't have a view of the lake.
Because you get a view of the lake, but with the view of the lake, you get a lot of street noise, and we'd rather have no street noise.
Okay.
So it's very quiet. And I just, the whole situation, I just like to be happy. Everything would be good. Are we ever going to get to a situation where what you guys just brought up, the fact that there are some lonely people that have nobody in their lives, I suppose they would have to turn to people like that in social groups or political groups or whatever. And I just don't understand how you can be so bought into one set of rules on the left and one set of rules on the right. How can you completely buy into either one of them? I don't really get.
I have never gotten it either.
No.
Other than, I'll say, other than if you train, Andy might have taken experimental psychology where he had to train the little mouse.
Never took that, but I know exactly what you're
Okay,
talking
so
about. The operant conditioning and all that with the
correct
lever.
with
Yep.
a little mouse, and you train the mouse.
Mhm.
You train the mouse how to press the bar to get food.
Right.
Right.
And I don't go on TikTok, but for a
Right.
while, son number 2 said I had to be on Twitter to get news on some individual stocks, because that's a lot of top people are sharing views on stocks on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But he cautioned me, you cannot respond to anybody, no matter
Oh God, I
what
bet,
you think. I said, okay, I will read some of this stuff. So I am on Twitter for maybe 3 months. And okay, I got some of the stock news, but I'm reading that. It's like, how can you even come up with some of this analysis
right?
about these companies? Then, because I wanted to follow some other things, and it's, if you just touched on, I wanted to see what Donald Trump said today, because some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth is,
It's out there.
we'll say it is out there,
There's
and
no
you've
doubt
got
about
to laugh
God.
on some of it. Okay, I want to see this. So then I start reading it, and then you get it starts coming in. Oh, this looks interesting. What somebody made a comment. Well, it
Mhm.
turns out that's a anti-Trumper. But I didn't
Okay.
know initially that it was an anti-Trumper, but it's an anti-Trumper.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, my news feed from Twitter, where I want to get stock news, is now there is no stock news. It's just filled with anti-Trumper
Oh yeah.
information.
Mhm.
And then I start getting stuff on really far out groups that, starts, he can't be in office. He's a crook. He's a criminal. He needs to be put in jail. He needs to die.
Oh, he needs to die. Okay.
Yeah.
All
He's,
right.
wait, what are we talking about?
I
And
know.
I got some other things. I just said, you know what? Delete this Twitter. I do not want anything
I
from
agree.
Twitter, but we'll say the algorithm that's there continues to feed that type of information to a point. Again, with the training the mouse,
Right.
where I could be trained if that's all I read. I could be trained. Oh my goodness, this guy is the most dangerous person
Oh yeah.
in the
you
world.
can find it. You can find that.
And
info.
he's got to go. And you know what? I'm the one to make it happen.
You're the guy.
I mean, the guy has had at least three assassination attempts,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe more.
And maybe more.
And that doesn't count. That's just.
Oh, actually, there's tons of assassination attempts. You can go online and find, like, pretty much every president has had, like, a guy with a gun tried to access him, and you just never hear about it because it happens so often. The only reason we're hearing about the Trump ones is because they became such close calls that they're notable. Because usually it's like, some insane person grabs a pistol and, marches toward the president, and, they're going to get thrown in prison for the rest of their life. Nothing bad's going to happen because they're too stupid to, they're incompetent. The problem is these Trump guys, especially the first and second one. The second one was at the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
They got closer to actually, especially the first one, closer to actually, killing a president than anyone has in a long time. And it's not a good thing.
No, but they just are fed just all this negative news that, oh, well, this is the only way that we can make ourselves known. And that's the group we're in.
And most of it's lies on both sides. That's
Correct.
The amazing thing to me. Look, I went through a situation, Andy, you probably don't even know. Maybe you do know about this, but I don't know, because it was at the old 917 North Lilac Drive studios. So you're going back at least 20, 25 years.
Now that's that little brick building that
it's a white little white building with a big
tower
on top
I think
of
that's the one. When I went there, when did Austin Powers come out? Austin.
Oh my God,
Powers.
about 30 years ago.
1997. So I would have been 10 or 11.
27 years
So would
ago.
that be the building?
that would be the building.
That would be the building.
And you were walking around with your pinky ring?
Pinky ring.
I was coming out the back door, and I will never forget this. And the guy knew what he was doing or whatever. I walked out the back door, and a guy put a gun to my head.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, could I help you with something? He goes, yeah, my wife told me. I said, your wife told you what? He said, oh, you know. I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about here. Apparently, this guy got in an argument with his wife, and she wanted to hurt him. So she found the first public figure name that came into her head, and it was my name. So she told her husband she was having an affair with me.
That's nice of her.
Yeah, thanks, lady. I really appreciate that. Now I have a gun to my head, and I have to get. Somehow I did convince the guy it wasn't me, man. I don't know what she's telling you, all the rest of it, but we gotta, you can't be pulling guns and putting guns to people's heads. I mean, first of all, if you don't do it quick enough, somebody's going to shoot and kill you.
Right.
I mean, that was an interesting experience. I will never forget that as long as I live. You walk out the door and all of a sudden there's a gun at your head. Like, woo.
Ooh.
Yeah, you don't want to go through that. It's not a good experience. Although being shot must be worse, I would think.
Yes.
Actually pulling the trigger is a whole different argument.
Probably.
But yeah, people get that carried away. And it's all around the world. I just don't understand why do people want to be so angry and miserable? Because they want to believe all the negative news. I don't. I'd rather believe the positive news. That'd be good, right?
Positive news is good. We like positive news. Netflix gave some positive news. More. Well, you want positive news? Netflix came out with their earnings last night.
Oh,
they beat top line, bottom line. They increased their guidance going forward. The stock has moved up. Netflix has been adding more, I'll say more streaming services, and including they've got 2 football games around Christmas.
Yeah.
So you've got to get. You have to have, get Netflix for that. And they're, now this here, analysts were very upset. Oh my goodness, people are going to be cutting their Netflix subscriptions from the premium service. They're going to drop down and get the ad-supported tier.
Oh,
so who wants the ad-supported tier? Now you're going to get commercials within that, even though it costs less. People are going to try to skip around the commercials, but they can't. And it's really going to hurt Netflix business. The ad-supported tier, quarter over quarter, is up 34%.
Really?
And ads have actually helped Netflix increase their business, not decrease their business. Again, here's what the analyst said. Well, if they put this in, Netflix can't do well. But they did it. They end up with more subscribers getting the lower tier, and Netflix is ending with more money from the advertisers.
Right.
We'll say so. It's a win-win for subscribers who pay a little less to get Netflix content. Netflix gets more money so they can increase their content, more content offerings. Everybody is happy, with the exception of the other, we'll call it mainstream networks, who are losing out to Netflix and are losing out in the streaming wars. So there could be some more consolidation in that.
You're absolutely right about that.
Now that, my sense a long time ago is, why do you want to compete with Netflix? Why, Mr. Disney, why do you want to compete with Netflix? You've got a great deal going. People are looking for you on cable. You've got multiple tiers on, we'll say, regular TV, plus the cable, plus you have the movies, and you can be all over. And you could cut a deal with Netflix so that Netflix pays you for your content. Why are you trying to recreate something that Netflix has spent all this time and money for? You already have a distribution network.
Right.
Why create something new? Oh, I know. We want to cut out Netflix and we want it all to ourselves.
Well, that ain't going to happen.
And how has that worked out?
Yeah, exactly.
Not real well. And you can see it in Netflix stock price is, we'll say, through the moon, Alice. And Disney's stock price is been cut in half since they were doing that. Actually, it's cut in half of, over a long period of time, and it just can't get any traction to go back up.
Do you think that's because Disney followed the DEI program and it really pissed people off?
No,
I think that's a big part of it.
No, I think what happened to the initial drop was, we have the only sports channel,
right?
ESPN, right. And we want to charge the cable companies more to carry it. And the cable company said, we're not making enough money carrying that. We're going to start cutting that out unless you give us a deal. And if I look at a stock graph, that's when Disney stock tilted over.
Yeah.
The DEI stuff, well, that might have an impact on me going to Disneyland or going down to Florida. Okay, but Disney's got to say, oh, well, we've got all these employees that have different lifestyles, so we want to appeal to them. And why? Here's the company. Here's what we've got to offer. We don't care about your lifestyle.
Right.
Do your job. What you do outside the working hours, unless it adversely impacts us, is not really our business.
I couldn't agree more.
Go do,
be you. Go ahead. Good for you.
That's it. So that's just my deal. Some of the care, if I start thinking of some of the things that went on with, I'll say films or cartoons that Disney put together.
Yeah.
I'd say, geez, I've got rodent. People are making positive characters out of rodents.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well, mice have always been cute,
I don't know about that.
It depends on how much experience you have with mice, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mice are cute, but they smell really bad.
That'll happen.
If you've ever encountered a mouse nest, go into your shed and lift a couch cushion or something in there, and there's a mouse nest in there.
God. Oh God.
It's a smell you'll never forget.
And then you were probably sitting on that Christian prior to that.
That's what
Yes.
attracted the mice to it, was your butt crack deal.
That's what it was. All right, so I have a quick announcement to make.
All right.
So you know the web form that we have. They go on the web or the app, and they'll send in comments through the form that
Yes.
that we have.
Yep.
And we used to read them all the time.
Yes.
And I thought, oh well, people just aren't using it anymore. No, it turns out it's all been going into spam. Every single one of them.
Why? How did that happen?
I don't know. All of a sudden, Google just decided it's all spam. So I've gone through, I've read all of them, every comment everyone has sent in that has gone to spam.
Wow.
But I've not gotten
comments,
any.
I'm guessing.
And I've set up a filter so it shouldn't go to spam anymore. So give it a try, see what you think, if it actually works or not. Someone actually did happen to send in something today.
Okay.
They sent in a news article for you. KU instructor on leave after comment to shoot men who won't vote for women goes viral.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
University of Kansas.
The guy that won't vote for women, he's going to shoot. You're going to shoot him.
If you believe guys are smarter than girls, you got some serious problems. That's what frustrates me.
Oh,
We could
God.
line up all those guys and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world
Jesus.
works. Well, if you
Let's
think
just kill
lining them all
everybody.
up and shooting them is the way the world works, then I think you
Hold
might
on.
not.
Is that a professor from the University of Kansas?
Yeah, I think
It's an
so.
instructor,
An
they
instructor,
say.
they
So
say, yeah.
whatever that means.
That's not the same guy who did the "I'm the toughest man ever born." That guy, was it, when he pointed a finger gun at one of his students, and
Oh, the cop. Yeah.
the cop who is now a college instructor, and I guess
He was like a substitute or something.
he ain't
I
going
think
to be anymore.
it
I'll
wasn't
tell
even a
you
college.
that.
I think it was like a middle school or
Oh,
something.
was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're probably right about that, because you just started out. And Andy, let me ask you a question. Actually, Josh, this is for you too. This is affecting people Andy's age and younger at a much higher rate than I heard from people that could ever happen. A lot of people your age and younger, Andy, disagree with that very far left view, and a lot of them are turning to the Republican Party, I was told. Have you seen that happening in any of your stats?
Among men, it is. Among women, it's debatable, but probably not.
So young men under 40 are going to the Republican Party.
Well, I mean, the Democrat official narrative is young white men don't matter. So why wouldn't
Well,
they?
see, now there you go. Now that's exactly why I brought it up, because they wouldn't even, I didn't even notice when I was, 35 and younger, this, that, and the other thing. I didn't even notice any of this stuff. They keep bringing it up. They're going to drive young people away from these parties if you keep so severe and insist on this, is it even real, or is it a real person? You're going to drive people away from your party in droves. And it's, Andy, from what I can tell, it's already happening.
Yeah, for certain demographics. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's always been, the Democratic Party has always been like, very like pro minority, pro diversity,
Right,
pro affirmative
right.
action, all that sort of thing. But they've never been anti-white to this degree.
Oh,
It's
no,
like
the
you could always
anti-white
feel
thing,
it's like,
way
okay,
over
sure, I think minorities need more, of a voice or whatever the hell. That's fine. But to vote for a party that tells you that you don't matter because of your
Right.
gender, skin color, whatever, is very weird to me.
Well, take a look at the one of a former president.
Mhm.
I'll say former President Obama, and his, we'll say, chastising young black men.
Yeah, I saw him doing that. And he called him bro when he did it.
And it's
Bro,
like,
Okay,
it's like,
bro.
are you serious?
I know. Are you nuts?
Really? You think
know.
that the individuals are not going to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a black
I
woman?
know. It's ridiculous.
Black men are not going to vote for her because she's a black woman, and here you're saying that the only person you should vote for is a black woman.
mhm.
I know.
So you black men can't think for yourselves. I will tell you.
Oh,
how
yeah.
you have to think.
That's
Yeah.
a very good point. So you're being told that you're not smart enough to make these decisions.
And I'm thinking, that becomes one of the, that's a major issue, to me.
Right.
Just telling, I'll say, young men especially, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough.
Right.
You need to have more controls over your actions, and that starts.
Yeah, you can't be trusted to vote the correct way, so we're just gonna not make it so you can vote if we can.
What did we do to our country? Honestly, is there an ebb and flow like this that's gone on throughout 250 years?
Well, I mean, this isn't the first time black men have been told they can't vote.
No, that's true.
That
is true.
This is just how it is. One party gets way too much control, and they basically make it impossible for them to get out of control until there's a major backlash.
Well, in this case, they're being told who to vote for.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. No,
and they may not get anything in return. I mean, if I went, many years ago, if I went to Tammany Hall in New York City and said,
yeah,
I need your help. Fine, happy to help you. Well, what do I need to do in return? Vote.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Vote for me.
Yep.
But they're not going to get. You're not going to get anything in return for that.
Are we going to? Do we need to? Maybe we do. Are we going to end up with like 20 different political parties like they do in Italy? Because people are not happy with either the Republican or the Democratic Party right now.
Well, Jill Stein is very happy. You can vote for her.
Now, who's that again? I forgot.
That's the Green Party.
Oh, that's the Green Party. That's right.
That's right. No, I don't think there's going to be. I don't believe in the United States is going to have 20 parties like they have in Italy, or 20 parties as they have in Israel, or a lot of parties as they have in other countries. But there are an awful lot of factions within each of the two parties that, whatever the leadership, tries to bring together behind one candidate.
The tough part I'm having, I know we've got a couple of minutes left here on the show, but the one thing that I don't understand is people don't notice that the one gathering of people in the Middle East that people hate are the only white people in the
yeah, it is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really their skin color is going. There's no question that Jews are lighter than other people in that district, and they're not all of them, but most of them.
A lot of them are. It's a very, very diverse place.
Right.
Yes.
So once again, white skin has something to do with why some people hate Jews.
That's what I've been saying for years. They've been trained to hate white skin. That's all it is.
I just
very simple.
I mean, you look at Fawn and Sage, and you look at Ethan and Colin, and tell me you hate them because they have white skin. What is wrong with you? Right?
Correct.
I also look at the same way. I grew up in that kind of neighborhood, and you know this. I never hated anybody because of their color of the skin, but I've been accused of it. It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's how they use. Look, you have to understand something. When you get that deep into not liking someone because of their skin color, they're going to use you every chance they get. You're just falling for their bullshit. They're going to start using you. Oh, you hate white people, so we need a bigger voice from you. Why are you letting them do that to you? Makes no sense to me.
Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
So can we just calm down, for Christ's sake? I can't say for Christ's sake. That's right. It's too religious. That's the whole deal.
Well, maybe you went to, did you go to a Catholic school growing up or not?
I did for 8 years. Yes. I went from first grade to 8th grade. Then I went to public school after that.
So you started where? This was at St. Anne's?
St. Joe's is the one I started at. Well, actually, the first one was the Basilica downtown Minneapolis.
Okay.
We lived right on Loring Park there when I started school I was like 1 month away from turning 4. So I was actually 3 years old.
You were a smart kid, or your
Yeah.
parents wanted you out of the house.
Well, I think it might have been both, just maybe a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it just, how can people not see that white skin now is the most hated skin on earth? I really don't understand it.
And the people that push that are whites.
I know. Look, you're really going to attach something to me that I had nothing to do with because it happened 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 50 years ago. I wasn't even around until 70 years ago. I had, like I said, been accused of being every homophobe and this and that and the other thing. You have zero proof, but you don't need proof anymore.
No,
You don't need any proof that anybody, they're horrible, because you want people to be horrible.
you see, Tom, you're married and you have children.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have to be we'll say you have to be a homophobe.
Yeah, you do.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and because you're married to a white woman, why
Mhm.
you have to be a racist.
Sure.
And of course, you have 2 children. Why, you have to be against single people
Oh, absolutely.
who
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
So, and because you've started your own business,
Yes.
why you have to be against people who aren't working or don't have the drive you have. And because you're successful, you don't share enough, and you're not paying your fair share.
They never bother to find out if you actually do or not, though. That's the part I love. They never bother to check and see how generous some people actually are.
Right.
They don't ever check on that one. I know some people that give, and they're accused of being selfish. It's
Right.
like, no.
See, and
They
I
give-
just look because and they have politicians release their tax records.
Right.
Okay. First thing that I look for, the line on gifts.
Gifts.
And,
a lot of gifts.
and charities.
Yep.
What have you
Yep.
given? And what's the percentage of your income that you have given?
That's true.
And not all, but I've seen a lot of politicians and releasing those forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking and saying, you give based on the income that you generate, you give less than 2%
Yeah.
of your
Yep.
income. And you're telling me, you're telling me that I'm not generous or I'm not contributing my fair share.
Yeah.
I know. All right.
I've got nothing to say to you,
I know.
with that.
Let's see how much you know your mitzvahs. How much are Jews supposed to give to charity? What percent of their income?
I really don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Uh-oh.
I thought that's with a 20%.
10%.
No, 10%. Well,
10%.
10% tithing.
Yep.
Tithing, yes.
Right. Well, I mean, that's still technically a charity.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying I know that because we're coming up to another holiday, Sukkot, or maybe we've already passed Sukkot.
Sukkot was a couple days ago.
Every other day is a Jewish holiday.
Yeah. So you
It's
guys
a
are all
wonderful
about holidays.
thing.
It's the feast of
It's a-
maximum occupancy.
Typical lazy white person over there. Typical.
And part of Sukkot was you set up a little house in your field so you could do the harvest, and we
Mhm.
celebrate the harvest. But in doing the harvest, you were supposed to leave the corners of your field for those that didn't have enough or
Oh,
didn't have a
see, there you go.
good harvest.
There you have it. How it should be. All right, gentlemen, another brilliant show. We solved all the problems in the world except for the fact that everybody hates everyone else. We haven't solved that one yet.
I'm sure we'll
Just-
do that next week.
Just smile.
That's all you can
Smile
Don't
at
worry, be
people who
happy.
you see.
That's very true.
And that really throws them off when you smile at them.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
Especially me smiling. Imagine me smiling. In any case, we will talk to you on Monday. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye.
Got a picture in my pocket reminds me of the slows before. Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talking